and welcome to this edition of HCAM Sports Talk. Tom Nappy here. In a few moments, we'll be joined by Andy Barron to talk about the local happenings. But right now, we have your latest Hopkinton Hiller news and also the results of the Boston Marathon. Here they are.
2-0 Hiller boys lacrosse battled 2-1 Westwood on Monday, April 8th. Wally Henneberry was on the call. It was a 8-8 game with 41 seconds left to go in the third quarter.
Right, he's going to try to get in deep. Defense pulls him out, pulls it back in. Looks for a cutter, got a guy in the middle, yes! And we've got a goal for the Hillers to go up 1 goal just before the end of the third period. Great pass, and a Cooper Goodman with the goal, his first goal of the game.
Hillers led 9-8 heading into the fourth quarter.
If I were Kyle Harvey picking that ball with the long pole, I would have shot that from back here. But it doesn't matter. The Wolverines get a goal anyway on a disjointed defensive play by the Hillers, trying to get back on D. Moving the ball around. O'Brien's got it. He's going to rip a shot. He scores! He scores to give the Hillers the lead with 2 minutes and 3 seconds to go. Big goal for Sam O'Brien. Minute to go in the game. Hillers are up by 1. Ball gets taken away by Burns. Scooped up by Westwood. He puts it in. What a turn of events.
The fourth quarter ended in a 10-10 tie, forcing overtime.
He makes his move. Here he comes. Makes a move. Goes right, left, fakes, right, goes left. Turns. Looking right. Shoots. He scores! Del Ponte from behind the net makes his move and wins the game for the Hillers in overtime. A spectacular game where the Hillers come out on top 11-10.
Logan Del Ponte nets the game-winning goal about 1 minute into the sudden death overtime, and the Hillers improve to 3-0 on the season. A tremendous win for the Hillers over Westwood. The Hillers snap a long losing streak over a tremendous Westwood lacrosse program. Following a loss in Medfield this past Thursday, the Hiller boys lacrosse team enters week 3 with a 3-1 record on the season.
The Boston Marathon took place this past Monday, April 15th. Here's a look at some of the scenes courtesy of Denise Antaki. It was a beautiful sunny day with temperatures in the high 60s. New England Patriots Super Bowl champion tight end Rob Gronkowski was the grand marshal of this year's marathon. It was the 100th start out of Hopkinton. The marathon was first ran in 1897 with just 15 people participating, 10 of which were able to finish the race. The Boston Marathon start line moved to Hopkinton in 1924 when the official distance of a marathon became 26.2 miles. This year, close to 30,000 athletes from 129 different countries participated. It was another successful year of the Boston Marathon. In the men's wheelchair race, Marcel Hug of Switzerland, aka the Silver Bullet, broke his own course record despite a slight crash towards the finish. Marcel Hug won the Boston Marathon for his 7th time and bested his 2023 record, finishing with a time of 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 33 seconds. Marcel Hug finished just over 5 minutes in front of second-place finisher, American Daniel Romanchuk. In the women's wheelchair race, a 22-year-old from Portsmouth, England, named Eden Rainbow Cooper won her first marathon with a time of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 11 seconds. Cooper finished 90 seconds in front of second-place finisher Maniela Shar out of Switzerland. In the men's elite runners race, Sise Lima of Ethiopia took his first Boston Marathon win with a time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 17 seconds. Sisse Lema finished 41 seconds over second place finisher Mohamed Essa. Evans Shabet from Kenya finished in third place. Seventh place finisher CJ Albertson was the only American in the top 10 finishers for the men's race. In the women's elite runner race, it was a dramatic finish between the first and second place finishers. Helen Obiri out of Kenya took the win, finishing just 8 seconds before fellow Kenyan and second place finisher Sharon Lokedi. Helen Obiri took her second straight Boston Marathon win in the women's race at a time of 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 37 seconds. Congratulations to the Boston Athletic Association, the 26.2 Foundation, and the Hopkinton Marathon Committee on another successful year of the Boston Marathon, and also a big congratulations to all who participated in this year's race. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this segment of HCAM Sports Talk. Tom Nappy here, and now I am joined by Andy Barron. Andy, how's it going?
Good, Tom. How are you? It's good to be back and finally getting some good weather. No more 40 degrees and snow and sleet and rain. Tired of it. Done.
Absolutely, me too. And you got a beautiful day on Monday for the Boston Marathon, which you're volunteering at. How'd your experience go?
Experience went well. Almost 10,000 volunteers throughout the entire race. It really is surreal. Just to have that many volunteers, you have to put on an event of that magnitude. It was a beautiful day. I got to hear the flyover. I was under one of the big white tents that were in the Athletes Village this year, and it was where we donate clothes. People throw away their trash. We do recycling, and you try to funnel 30,000 runners through that Athletes Village. It is a surreal experience, and to see I think you saw some of the pictures you commented on the bags full of donated clothes that we had that go to Big Brothers Big Sisters. That was only part of it, Tom. Those trucks drive the entire route and pick up all those clothes. It's really just you should volunteer at this event. Even if you're not even a runner, it's extraordinary. Our team captain also told us how one of the runners he was talking to says the reason why I come and run Boston every year is because of the quality of the volunteers. I've never heard somebody say that. So it makes me feel good that our work doesn't go unnoticed. Because there's no way you can put on an event without volunteers.
No. Oh yeah, I'm sure everybody from the athletes to anyone involved with the marathon, even just people watching. I did volunteer for the marathon, though. I voluntarily watched it, so. But absolutely, I will consider that. That would be fun, just to have that experience, be out there with the runners. It sounds like a great time.
It really is, and my uncle used to own a car dealership he worked for a car dealership in Natick, and we used to go watch the race out there. Because if you have a business on the course, they don't open that day. They have a party. We had a barbecue, and you used to be able to walk onto the course. You can't really do that anymore. But this is really a New England tradition.
Absolutely.
And it's an event. I tell people this. It's not really a race. It's an event. It's a spectacle. You had Rob Gronkowski, there's your Grand Marshal, Zdeno Chara running the race. You have all sorts. One year somebody crawled to the finish line the whole way. People have run barefoot. They've run backwards. It's an event. It really is. But anybody who finishes Boston, doesn't matter first or last place, once you get in that book of results, there's really nothing better. And you get that medal wrapped around your neck. There's really nothing better. It's really a surreal moment, and it takes everybody to make it work.
Well, once again, the Boston Athletic Association and everybody else who, of course, the volunteers and all others involved in planning this marathon did a terrific job. Did you run into Gronk at all?
I didn't. I did not. I was in the Athletes Village. So a lot of people don't realize this. it's 0.7 miles away from the starting line. You're still way back there on Hayden Row.
It's at the
So
middle school, right?
we're at the middle school,
Yeah.
right? So in the past years, I've been down at the CVS. I've because that's really the last stop that people can make before they then get corralled into the four corrals, go to the starting line. So it's really just something. I was there bright and early at 6:30 in the morning. I left about noon. We have to take a bus over from South Street. So it's just the bus drivers. I need to commend the bus drivers. These people are unbelievable, Tom. Like busload after busload, dropping off runners, taking volunteers to the start. We couldn't do it without the bus drivers. I mean, it's really, I mean, just yellow bus after yellow bus coming in. It really is something. And I also want to throw this out there too. I sent you this stat a couple of days ago, and I know you were just really blown away by it. How the Kenyan runners have just dominated this marathon for nearly 40 years. Now, this year, Ethiopia won it, but still, Helen Obiri from Kenya wins on the women's side. She wins back to back. They are on a different level. It is, and when you see them run in person, it's just a remarkable how effortlessly they seem like they're running. And it's not that the Americans are not bad runners, Tom, but these runners are just on a different level. The way they train, the way they compete, they come over here to Boston to win. I mean, and there's so many runners they can send over. They could send 100 runners over here that probably could win this race. That's how deep they are. But I am going to say this. I'm going to leave on this. Meb Keflezighi winning in 2014 is the greatest marathon moment ever. And nothing's ever going to be able to top that because he put the whole world on his back in that 2014 race because he was there in 2013 when the horrible events happened. And that is the greatest man. He was 40 years old when he won that Boston Marathon.
I
And
agree.
then he,
That was amazing when he won it. And what's funny, he ran it this year, 10
yep.
years later, and he only added an hour to his total time, which I don't think is very bad at all.
No, it's not. And you know what? He was going back up on the road. He was high fiving the runner. I mean, what a surreal experience. If you're finishing this race and you see Meb Keflezighi coming at you, holding his hands out, giving
That's
you a high
amazing.
five, I mean, he didn't have to do that, but he's just a good guy. And I know you had a chance to interview him.
Yep.
That must have been a tremendous interview.
It was very cool. It was a great interview. I want to say it was back in 2016, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll have to dig up the segment and
I got to see this interview because it really must have been.
I'll
He
send it
answers
to you.
all the questions. He never makes any excuses. You know, he cares about all the runners, and not that all the other professionals don't, but just winning what he pulled off in 2014. You know, you may not see another American win it again. I mean, I know you never say never, but man, nothing can top it.
Well, I
It's
know
like
that,
just like 28-3 with the Patriots. What can top that? Nothing.
right?
You
Well, I
know what I
know
mean?
the top American this year finished seventh, I believe.
CJ Albertson.
Yeah.
And he's a very good runner. He's run. This is like his third top 10 finish, I believe. But again, it's just it's so hard to win this race. I mean, everything has to go your way, and everything. It's just such a tough course. I mean, what I walked it 2 years ago, by the way, and then I really get to see just how hard this course is going up Heartbreak Hill 20 miles into the race. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
just
I think why Kenya and Ethiopia dominate so much is because in those countries, when they're growing up, they're running, they're participating in running. That's their sport over there. That's a huge sport in
oh,
Ethiopia and Kenya.
national sport.
Here you got baseball, football, basketball, so you're not necessarily going for marathon distance or trying to win a 26-mile race.
No,
It's just kind of something that I think people do at some point in their lives. And, obviously the Olympic runners, they probably participated, a lot of them in track in high school,
oh sure.
uh, or they were just really fast and decided to get into marathoning. But I think you do it, you do, you running's a national sport over there. I think that's the big
Oh,
difference.
there's no question about it. Like I said, they just that's what they do when once they're born. They start running, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. It's just their dominance is absolutely incredible. But I also want to congratulate, like you just mentioned, the runners who run this race who don't run to win it, or then some that do qualify to get it for time. And how about the ones that run for charity?
Mm-hmm.
Almost a half of $1 billion has been raised since 1989 when the charity program came in. That is extraordinary. How much money has been raised to help charities and to help people. And it's something to really be proud of when you're able to raise money knowing that your running is making a difference in people's lives. I mean, though a lot of these people work full-time jobs, they have families, and they're training to run this race. And you never know what the weather you're going to get. I was there in 2018 when we had like a hurricane come through, and I was working at a water stop. The worst weather I have ever seen. The year Des Linden won,
Oh, I
which
remember
was
that.
just
That was crazy that year.
crazy.
My
And how about
my yard was literally flooded
oh
as the
yeah,
marathon was
yeah.
going
And
on.
I was in Ashland working the water stop. All the cups and water were just blowing all over the place. It was surreal. And how about we also talked about this Marcel Hug from Switzerland in the wheelchair race
Yes.
crashing and winning the race. That guy is tough as nails. Let me tell you.
And during the broadcast, which I watched pretty much the entire thing, they didn't even catch the crash initially. Obviously, they were able to grab the footage of it, but they didn't even notice it as it happened. And then they were informed after the fact. But then he still won by, I think it was over a minute. He still managed to win. So, and he
Incredible.
broke the record too. He broke his own record.
To see them up close in person too, how fast those wheelchairs are going is
Can imagine.
unreal. The upper body strength they have is it's insane. I met Tatiana McFadden a few years ago at the Martin Richard Mile. Nice, great person, but just the upper body strength is just
Oh
it
yeah,
is incredible to see. And the woman who won from Great Britain
yeah.
this year, she didn't even have a sponsor. Um,
Wow. She will now.
yes, she will now. But what a great story, though. I mean, it's not cheap to fly over here to get to this race as it is from if you're coming from Europe. But it just goes to show you all the hurdles and boundaries that people have to get, even professionally, to get and win Boston. So it's really a race for everybody. It really is.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Uh, it's always just such great memories at every marathon. I mean, cool things happen every year, and I think that's why people love it so much. And it's also the toughest marathon course that I've heard, and that's why I think
Oh, yeah.
it's the most famous marathon, partly because it is such a tough, grueling course.
Grueling.
It's not anyone can just go do it. It takes a lot of training.
No, you talk to even professionals, and they say the same thing. It's grueling. It's just the course will punish you if you don't run it correctly, or it just. But and
And I
I
want to
agree.
correct myself. Hugo won by just over 5 minutes in front of the second place finisher. So
After a
he just
crash,
burned by everybody. And on top of that, he had the crash, right?
wow. I
It's
mean,
second place was
now
an American, by the way, Daniel Romanchuk.
Daniel Romanchuk from Illinois, he was a former champion as well. Very, very talented rider. But Hugh is just right now he's just on another level, and it just goes to show you when Ernst Van Dyke from South Africa had that dominance. I think he won like 10 Boston marathons or something. It's just ridiculous. It's the wheelchair race has become extremely popular, not just here in Boston, but all over the country. I mean, every major marathon has the wheelchair races offered, which is
They,
which is
they
really
should
cool.
have that as a regular sport, have like a league. That'd be pretty awesome.
You know,
They
I
might
wouldn't.
already
They
somewhere.
might. I'm not really sure, but I wouldn't be surprised at that. And but again, just congratulations to everybody who finished. And
Absolutely. And I do want to
and
mention the women's elite runner finish was very impressive.
was
Uh, it was two Kenyans that finished first and second, and the first place finisher finished just 8 seconds in front of the second place finisher, Sharon Lokedi. The one who won it was Helen Obiri.
Mhm.
But what a final stretch that was for those two runners. They were
Yeah.
neck and neck.
Oh, the adrenaline coming down Boylston Street is just got to be. It's very similar to when Alberto Salazar and Dick Birdsley, Beardsley did it in 1982 when they were 1 second apart. They called it the duel in the sun. And Dick Beardsley said, I had nothing left, nothing, when I crossed the finish line. And he said it was, you can't even describe it. I mean, just how exhausted you are after
Oh yeah,
26 miles and sprinting to
that's
try to win.
why the person in first, they probably like it when they got a few minutes on the second place guy because then they don't have to go into a full out sprint to to win it.
Oh, at that point, it's like you hate to see somebody lose just because of the just how hard it is to do that after your body is just physically, it's just exhausted at that point. I mean,
To me, everyone that can finish the marathon is a winner, even if they tried to finish and got close or just couldn't for whatever reason. But just anyone that ran the course, I mean, congratulations, kudos to you.
absolutely.
Very impressive stuff. But another great Boston Marathon in the books. And we'll have more great marathons coming, of course, every year. And that was the 100th start in Hopkinton.
That's right. Yeah, it used to start in Ashland, and it actually used to
Yep.
end in the Back Bay before they moved it to Boylston Street. Now that's where the permanent finish is. And also, don't forget too, they had the BAA races over the weekend. So Hopkinton and Ashland, Framingham were also involved in those. Are running the middle school races, the mile races, the BAA 5K happen. So it's just a spectacle now. It's a whole week wide of events that lead up to the big race on Monday.
Well, if you talk to Tim Kilduff over at the 26.2 Foundation, I think he would say it's a year-wide event. And they host a lot of great events leading up to the
Yeah.
marathon months before and always put on a great display. And the way they highlight absolutely everything in the marathon is incredible. And it's certainly going to be even more of a spectacle when they got that International Museum Center
It's
up
gonna be
and
great.
running in Hopkinton.
It's gonna
So
be
that
great.
that'll attract some serious tourism, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. Again, it's amazing how you go from like running in Hopkinton, which is rural, to a metropolis like Boston. It's really surreal that you can actually get to Boston by driving that route.
Yep.
And it's really something. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you'll get there as fast driving that route as Marcel Hugh did, but
No. So when I walked it, the Jimmy Fund walk 2 years ago, I got stuck in Framingham because the train was coming through. A
oh
freight train
boy.
came through, and I had to wait like 20 minutes. That wouldn't happen at the actual marathon, but
No.
it's happened at some road races before where trains have come through. Not here, but freight trains come through, and the race has to stop. It
Yeah, there was
happens.
there was one train operator. He forgot that route was closed, and bam, delays the Boston Marathon. Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, that would be just.
That'd be pretty bad. I hope
It,
that never happens. Big Z ran for the Hoyt Foundation, Zdeno Chara. So that was certainly pretty cool as well. And are you with me, Andy? You look like we were
I am
freezing
here.
up a
Yep,
bit.
I'm here.
All right. But it was cool to see Big Z running again. And I guess he's a
Yes.
marathoner now. He said he's going to go do the London Marathon next week.
Sunday. Yeah, well, London Marathon. I think is on Sunday, and you see some professionals that do the double, Boston and London. That's a lot. I mean, that's a lot to ask, but
Yeah.
it happens, And yeah, Zdeno Chara is he's definitely done very well in these marathons.
If there was one Boston Bruin that I never thought would run a marathon, it'd probably be him. I mean, you don't
Can't
see
miss
a
him.
lot of
He's
like tall guys running,
7 feet
really
tall.
tall. I
Can't
mean,
miss him.
yeah, it's
Race
unbelievable.
director Dave McGilvery, he also ran the marathon with his kids this year as well. Now he usually runs the marathon from the after the race is over, but he ran it during the race this year as well. So you know, I had a chance to interview him when I was working at MyFM, and it was really something to talk to him because I mean to take on that responsibility to be a race director of this race has got to be that's a yearly job. I mean, he's probably already
Yeah.
planning for next year today. I mean, of
Oh, absolutely. They start planning like they're already planning for next
already
year
planning.
now.
They already started probably talking. Okay, what are we going to do for next year? Who are we going to bring in? what needs to be
Oh
done
yeah.
better. I mean, you don't stop. I mean, it's
No. Yeah,
it's
it's certainly a pretty much a full-time job, I would say.
yes.
Uh,
Oh, definitely.
but I've had the chance to talk to David McGillivray as well. He does a tremendous job
Oh yeah.
hosting the marathon every year, and did another tremendous job this year. And it was heavily entertaining. I mean, all Boston marathons are pretty entertaining, but I think this one it's got to be up there and perhaps the most entertaining because of just some of the great stories and some of the crazy finishes you had.
The runners just keep getting faster every year. More charities keep coming in every year. More people are running every year. Yeah, it's just every year seems to top the year before. So, and I'm sure next year will be no different. Just hopefully we'll have good weather again, like we had this year. Because it definitely makes all the difference in the world. Heard the fly. I was under the tent, but the flyover came over. It
That
is
must have been
loud. Let me.
loud.
Oh yes, oh yes, and it's so quick. I mean, they just it's high and by, but that's something to see if you can see it.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. And Ayla Brown did a tremendous job with the national anthem.
Mhm.
Great to
Yep.
see her over there. Had the pleasure of meeting her years ago.
Mhm.
She was opening for Charlie Daniels and super nice. Uh, Great person, great singer. Uh, they just did a great job. Kudos to the volunteers, kudos to the runners. It was a absolutely tremendous 100th start from Hopkinton. And we look forward to the 101st start next year. And I'm sure they'll have a lot of events coming up as well. And of course, you can stay up to date with everything Boston Marathon at our website, hcam.tv. But we want to get into some other topics as well. A lot going on in the sports world. And one thing we haven't been able to talk about because we've had some highlight shows over the past couple of weeks is the NCAA tournament. What a tremendous finish on both the boys and the girls' side. And this is maybe the first year in history that the women's championship game had more viewers than the men's championship game.
Mhm.
I watched both. I was heavily intrigued by both, and they were great, both pretty good games. My Yukon Huskies took the men's title, which I'm extremely happy about. And then on the girls' side, I was rooting for Iowa after they defeated Yukon. Obviously, I'm a Yukon fan, so I was rooting for Yukon initially, but the Caitlin Clark story is just unbelievable. And she's now a member of the Indiana Fever. She got drafted
Yes, she
last
went number
night.
one. No surprise there.
Oh
No.
yeah, yeah, no surprise at all. And they already have Indiana Fever, and they it's a 40 game season. 36 of their games are going to be on national TV,
Oh,
one way or the other. So
yeah,
women's basketball, man, they owe Caitlin Clark a lot for
sure do.
immediately just capturing interest or more interest. And, unfortunately, women's basketball, it was struggling a bit, but I don't think it's struggling anymore. And this
No,
draft class overall, between Reese, what's her last name at LSU, and Caitlin Clark, and a couple of the Yukon girls were in there as well. And then, of course, you had a lot of the South Carolina championship team members in the draft as well. And that team captured a ton of interest as they finished the entire season and March Madness run undefeated, which is always an unbelievable accomplishment.
sure is.
But I like it, man. It's good to see women's basketball growing. I think it's absolutely tremendous for the WNBA to have somebody that captured the hearts of so many in America. And I think she's someone that, all the little girls out there that want to play basketball could look up to. And, she's a positive role model. And she got to where she was really just from working hard. And, she'll go down in history as, well, currently the top scorer ever in NCAA basketball history. And that's out
Yeah,
of the both men's and women's. It's pretty tremendous.
it really is. Yeah, I mean, her going to the Indiana Fever, it's got to be. They're probably going to be selling out a lot of games there.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. And yeah, this was a very deep, maybe one of the deepest drafts in WNBA history. It has to be right up there. But South Carolina was the better team. Iowa had the best player, but South Carolina had the better team. They were just Iowa was
Oh yeah.
outmatched.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
I didn't even expect Iowa to win because Iowa, Caitlin Clark is largely responsible for Iowa's success. They had a couple others that really chipped in too, but Clark was just, she would take over games and
oh
just
yeah,
go nuts hitting shots.
kind of similar to when Larry Bird played at Indiana State, and then he ended up playing Michigan State. Michigan State was just a better team. They had Magic Johnson. They were just it's very similar, I think, to this. I just don't think anybody was beating that South Carolina team. They were stacked.
Yeah, I mean, they were just tremendous defensively on the
Rebounds,
boards.
51 rebounds to 29. You're not going to win games.
Yeah, and they were a team too that they could play the defensive low scoring game and beat you, or they could play the high scoring up tempo offensive game and beat you. They just had a tremendous all around team. I think, probably most people were rooting for Caitlin Clark, but going into that game,
Of
I didn't have a
course,
whole lot of confidence in Iowa. But I'll tell you what, they made it a game. Iowa hung in there. Uh,
yeah, they did. And then the fourth quarter, they just South Carolina pulled away and going over to the men's side. No surprise at UConn. They just dominated from start to finish. Now, do they get the three-peat?
See, and I think UConn, the men's situation was kind of the same type of thing. Purdue had Edie, who was really their top player, would take over a game, dominate the boards, points or rebounds, double digits pretty much every game. And UConn, though, was more of a team. They were more well-rounded of a team than Purdue was. So I think it was kind of a similar situation in both games.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to be tough for someone to take UConn down.
Yeah,
I won't be surprised if they win
they're
it again next year.
unbelievable. No, no, I mean they got a lot of great players coming back. I certainly won't be
Who's going to beat them?
surprised.
No one's
Eh,
even close. I mean, who's gonna beat them? Really?
I don't know at this point. Dan
They're
Hurley
on a run
did
like
a
Duke
good
was in
job.
the '90s in North Carolina and Michigan, and they're right up there. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, it's UConn's world, and we're just all living in it.
well, and then the women's team's going to be right there, like they always are. I
Yep.
mean, it's just even though they don't. I mean, UConn men's and women's basketball is just they're always good. They're always good. They're right there. They're either in the championship game or they're playing or they're right in the final four. They're playing for one. It's just the
Yeah,
way
I
it is.
mean, they call UConn the basketball capital of the world, or at least of the U.S. And I agree with that. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think you'll ever see a better overall program than UConn when it comes to basketball. It really is tremendous what they're doing over
on
there.
both sides. Yeah,
And
yeah.
Dan Hurley, I mean, what a coaching job he does, and he has his routine and how he likes to coach his players. And I think what makes UConn so successful, especially on the men's side, is they it's about the team. It's team over individual, and that's how Hurley coaches, and that's how UConn plays the game too.
And
And any given night, anybody could go off because they're going to share the ball, and you're not going to see any ball hogging going on.
right, and they really don't have a dominant player. They just have so many good players. But it's not like they have somebody that's just is so dominant. They don't have that, but
Yeah,
they just know how to play team basketball. And again, it would not surprise me at all if they win again next year. At this point,
I
I
already
actually be
got,
surprised if they
I
don't.
already got a few bucks on it.
Oh, we know you do. We know you do. So
Yeah, I mean, bet UConn, folks, you got a chance. Get them early too. Well, the odds are
yep,
still good.
yep.
But tremendous NCAA tournament, and it was really just awesome to see the women's side grab so much interest as well. And the women's championship was actually
the highest rated college basketball game ever. uh,
Wow,
yeah, which is unbelievable.
really is,
I think it was
really
what
is.
18.9 million viewers or something like that, and the boys got like 14.5 million.
Yeah, both sides really have nothing to complain about. I mean, people are watching. It's
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a huge fan of sports in general, but certainly great to see the women's sports flourishing. And also, I think it's a overall trend in women's sports. If you recall, girls volleyball, NCAA girls volleyball captured a ton of interest this year, and they had some of their highest rated and most watched games ever. A lot of good teams in NCAA girls volleyball. So it's growing, which is great to see because they're out there giving it their all, and people should watch because it's really good entertainment.
yeah, golf too. You've seen golf is getting more pop. Lacrosse, you're going to see coming up this spring now too. NCAA lacrosse is
Yes.
really, really big. Boston College is a very good women's lacrosse program. They've been in the NCAA tournament a few times. I think they almost won a national title one year. So that is a sport that you definitely need to keep an eye on. That's getting really, really popular, and it's come to Gillette Stadium a few times of the national championships.
Oh, lacrosse is an awesome sport.
Growing like crazy in this country.
And speaking
It,
of
it,
that, don't forget to catch Hiller Lacrosse all spring long on HCAM. Two very good teams this season. The boys off to a sensational 3-1 start. So they have a lot of returning players and some big hopes this year. So you're certainly going to want to tune in to that.
Fast-paced sport.
Yeah, I mean, I always call it's essentially hockey on grass.
It's really what it is. Yep.
It's wildly entertaining, and it's a sport that I'd be surprised if it doesn't take off. I expect lacrosse to just really grow because people love contact sports. They love high energy, quick pace sports, and lacrosse has all of that. So, if you like football, I think you'll like lacrosse. If you like hockey, I think you'll like lacrosse. And if you don't, you're just crazy. Big shout out to Scotty
Oh,
Scheffler, winning
wins another
the
Masters.
Masters. You
Yep.
mentioned golf, so I had to give him a shout out. That was also nice for my wallet, but that's another story for another day.
Yeah, the Masters is it's the ultimate golf tournament. I don't even think the U.S. Open is bigger than the Masters. I think this is the British Open, the PGA Championship. It's the Masters. That's the tournament. It's at
A
Augusta.
tradition. It's a tradition unlike any other.
It is. No, you win the Masters. I mean, your whole career changes. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah,
just Sky Scheffler is
he's number one right now. I mean, he's won
right.
the two last big tournaments. He's won, and he didn't just win the Masters. He won by 4 strokes,
Well, he was up by
which is
one
pretty
stroke going into
dominant.
the final. We had a delay, I think, on Thursday due to thunderstorms. So, I mean, right now, he's the guy. Now,
Oh yeah.
will he ever reach the level of Tiger Woods? No. Okay, let's make it very clear. Tiger Woods is one of the three greatest golfers ever, ever. I mean,
I'd
his
say
dominance.
I agree, he probably won't, but if there's a guy who has a shot, it's right now, it's Scheffler.
He does. I mean, but is he ever going to make the money that Woods made? His deal with Nike is just.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you know,
Woods was just, he was like what Tom Brady is the football.
and Jordan to basketball.
Right.
That was Tiger Woods was the guy. I mean, he was unstoppable at one point. He couldn't lose. He
Yep.
couldn't lose, and I'm amazed the guy still even golfing. To be honest with you, I
Yeah, I mean,
mean,
he's been through a lot of bad injuries too, the car
yeah,
accident and
yeah.
uh
But just remember now, because see, I'm glad we brought golf up because when Tiger was at the peak of his career, you stopped what you were doing to watch that tournament.
yeah.
Golf really doesn't. I mean, Scotty Scheffler is very good, but he doesn't have what Tiger has. Like, I mean, would you stop to watch Scotty Scheffler golf?
I personally would because I really like Scotty Scheffler. And I love watching him play. I think he's just unbelievable.
But the
So I
casual fan
personally
won't.
would, but the average fan probably not.
No,
Certainly not as much as they would for Tiger Woods. But hey, if he keeps winning majors, he's just going to get more and more popular.
you got
Uh,
to win. That's the thing.
well, he's won two straight, so if he keeps on this path, he's going to be a pretty popular guy.
Yeah, you had Arnold Palmer, you had Jack Nicklaus, then you had Tiger. I mean, probably people probably never thought that. Well, no one's ever going to beat Jack Nicklaus, and then Tiger comes along. So I mean, you just and there was a time where again he was here and it was everybody else. It
Did
was
you
it was
hear
just
Dave Portnoy, the owner of Barstool Sports, put $1 million on Scheffler to win?
did he?
Yeah.
Well, he made out
So
pretty well.
he and actually that bet single-handedly drove the odds up, drove them down for
Oh,
Scheffler.
the money that goes into the Masters too is just, I mean, just to like buy a ticket to get on the course has got to be.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
I mean,
the other
how
thing too. I mean, betting is widely legal now. You could, pick up your cell phone and put a bet on anything you want sports wise. And I think that's why you're seeing more and more sports take off. And I think it's great for sports. Just don't get addicted to betting, folks. It's not good.
it's not
Bet
good.
responsibly. But
And a big event coming up in a few weeks too, the Kentucky Derby. I mean,
yeah.
if you really think about it, I think April and May are really great times to be a sports fan because
Oh yeah.
well, because you get the NCAA tournament, NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, baseball.
March through May are tremendous
Yeah,
months.
you got the Kentucky Derby, you got the Preakness. If you're an auto racing fan, you got the Indy 500 on Memorial Day weekend. I mean, it really is. And then in June's good because you get the Stanley Cup Finals, NBA Finals. Don't forget the NFL Draft. I mean, again,
Yes.
I think April through May are the best sports months of the year. I mean, and now the fall's great too. Don't get me wrong, but you're really now building into the summer and getting ready for the fall in April and May. You're coming out of the winter.
I
It's
just
going up.
wonder what stunts the NFL are going to try to pull off to get people paying attention to them instead of these
In
other
May, they're gonna
sports.
start having games
Yeah,
in May, like spring practice games, or I
they'll
don't
do
know.
what the colleges do. They'll make a big spectacle out of the internal team scrimmages.
I wouldn't be. You're on to something. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, what
Yeah,
will the NFL not do? I
I
mean,
probably just gave him that idea too. If you use it, Goodell,
they're
you
gonna
owe me
steal
some
your
money.
idea. You know,
Because
you know.
the NFL doesn't like when the attention's not on them.
No, they don't. Well, it will be next week when the draft starts. So
Yes.
there'll be a lot of attention on the Patriots. That's for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Everybody will be locked right back into the NFL. Once
Don't
that draft
screw this
goes.
up. Don't screw this up. You cannot. Jared says it all the time on the show. You
The
can't
latest
screw
rumor
this
I'm
up.
hearing, they are heavily considering JJ McCarthy.
Well, I doesn't.
I don't know if you should use your first round pick on him. Maybe if you're trading up a second pick to get he's gonna be a first round guy, but probably lower first round. But hey, I'm happy with JJ McCarthy. Is it the guy? I don't know. That could be debated another day, but I think he was tremendous. I think he has a great arm. I think he needs a little work on his accuracy. He certainly doesn't have like Tom Brady pinpoint accuracy, but he has a big arm, and I think he has good ability. So, and the last guy you got out of Michigan wasn't so bad.
It's true. That's true. No, that is true. But it doesn't seem like they're gonna take Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that's the consensus seems like now they're taking a quarterback.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those are the guys they've been working out, mostly quarterbacks. So, did they bring in Marvin Harrison Jr. for a workout?
I can't remember. I mean, I think that they should have, but what about Jaden Daniels? I keep going back to him, and I just
I'd
feel
be
that
happy with him too. I think he's
he's
tremendous.
the Patriots have hit a lot of home runs of these LSU guys over the years, and you're playing in the SEC. It's the best division in football. What's bigger than the SEC?
I mean,
No, nobody is.
I
Nobody's
guess I,
bigger
I
than
would compare Jaden Daniels with the Lamar Jackson kind of guy.
good
Big
comparison.
arm,
Yeah,
lots of speed, can run, throw, do
yeah.
it all.
Drake May, I don't know. That just if honestly, if you told me you either can take Drake May or Jaden Daniels, I'm going with Daniels just because I think the SEC has more value.
Who are you going with out of these, McCarthy or Drake May?
McCarthy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think I'll take McCarthy. I'm not sold on Drake May. And listen, I know it's a crapshoot, but at least if they draft a quarterback, you're like, okay, they got somebody.
Oh, they will. They have to.
Jacoby Brissett's the starter. He could be the starter for the whole season, which actually I'm not opposed to. But at least if they have a quarterback, all right, we got somebody. We stop. He's your future. But
Yep.
you also don't want to get this guy killed his first year either. I mean, so
Yeah, I mean, if they get Drake May, he's probably a guy that needs a year transition before he
easily,
becomes a
he's
starter.
not coming into a good situation. I
Yeah.
mean, let's face
Oh,
it.
terrible.
The
Yeah, I
Patriots
mean,
need a lot of work.
I think Brissett is definitely going to be starting the first few weeks, no matter
Oh,
who
no
they
doubt about it.
get. And I think he probably should, unless the
Yes.
guy blows you away in training camp.
Nah, Brissett's the
But
starter.
most likely it'll be Brissett. But I don't want to do too much NFL on this show because we do have the Celtics and Bruins about to go to the playoffs. So we got to talk a little bit about that.
Right.
But we will dig into the NFL hopefully prior to the draft. When's the draft, Andy?
The draft is next Thursday.
Okay, so I guess we won't be digging into it too much.
Because we're gonna get too angry on here if the Patriots screw this up, and
Yes.
we don't have enough time in the show to cover what they do.
I'll tell you what, I've never been more unsure of what they're going to do. I don't know what to expect. I have
everybody
no
feels
idea.
that way. We haven't been in this situation in 30 years, so
No.
it's
And like, see with Belichick, I'm like, oh, they're going to trade down, and
not
they
here
always did,
anymore
and it drove me nuts half the time. But I have no clue what Mayo's going to do or what the Pats staff is going to do. I don't even know who's drafting these guys or who's making the final call.
Nobody knows. That's just the thing. I mean, Steve Watson could be making the pick. You just don't know.
I hope not. But just
we
kidding,
love you, Steve.
Steve.
We
Just
love you, Steve.
kidding. You probably you probably go get Mac Jones back. No.
Oh, no. Let me tell you this right now, real quick. But if the Patriots play the Jaguars this year, and if somehow Mac Jones is the starter in that game, you cannot lose that game.
Oh, if he comes in against you and like dominates you, that'll be bad.
And not lose that game if he's the starter. That is going to look so bad.
I'll tell you what, you're probably going to see Mac Jones starting a few games for the Jags because
Trevor Lawrence gets hurt all the time.
Right. He gets hurt at least once a season. And
please.
Typically it's a smaller injury and he's out 2 to 3 weeks, something like that. But every season you could expect him to miss a couple games. Hopefully he doesn't. Wishing him the best. I like watching him. But typically, he'll miss a couple games. So it won't surprise me at all if you see Mac Jones get a couple reps. Start a few of the Jags games.
Cannot lose that game to Mac Jones. I mean,
no. But I do want to talk a little bit about the Celtics. Well, we're just about to go into the playoffs, Andy. Celtics, they dominated the East standings wise. They're the 1 seed. What are you expecting? What are your thoughts? And before we get into that, I do want to give a big shout out to Mike Gorman.
yes.
They had a great ceremony for him in the last regular season game that he will do in his career as he is retiring after 43 years. Incredible. And Mike Gorman is just in my opinion, one of the most unbelievable announcers that you could ever have the pleasure of listening to. He's just tremendous, and he'll certainly always be a staple in Boston sports history.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Him and Tommy Heitzen they were the Celtics broadcast, and they can't be replaced. I mean, it's just not going to happen. It's the same thing with Joe Castiglione with the Red Sox.
It's one of those announcing tandems you had with Heitzen and Gorman that they're one of the few tandems that people would actually talk sometimes more about what the announcer said than the actual game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. they're just Mike Gorman is yeah, he's one of the best ever. There's no doubt about it. I mean, how many games he called here?
Oh,
What he's seen. I mean, he's called games with Larry Bird and the
I
Big
don't even, and
Three,
he
and
hasn't lost a step. He hasn't lost
no,
a
he
single
hasn't.
step. He still
No,
calls an unbelievable game.
yeah,
Love listening to him. We'll certainly miss it.
certainly will. Enjoy your retirement, Mike.
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll see him for a lot of playoff games. That'll be good.
We might see him for a few. Yeah,
Well,
few
speaking
playoff
of
games.
that, what are your expectations for this team? What do you think going into the playoffs? You see any flaws? What do you think they're going to do, Andy?
Win a championship. There's no more excuses. It's time to get it done. Okay, you got Brown, you got Tatum, Porzingis, Derek White, who's had a phenomenal year. Peyton Pritchard has been huge off the bench for this team. It's time to go win a championship. I mean, no more excuses. Okay, you have the best record in the league. You've been dominating in the league all year. Um, it's time. It's your time. It's time to go get it done. Um, who do I think the team is the biggest threat to the Celtics? I still think it's if the Celtics win the East, it is the Nuggets, just because Jokic he's a once in a lifetime player. He really is. There's nobody on this team I think that can stop him. And but Jason Tatum needs to be the leader. He needs to be the guy. All right. Because we saw last year after he got hurt, Jaylen Brown was not able to be that leader.
Yeah.
And you went out, you got Drew Holiday, you got Porzingis, you got better. Um, Robert Williams is gone. Grant Williams is gone. Malcolm Brogdon's gone. Marcus Smart is gone. I feel like the team has gotten better, and it's time to go win a championship. Really, there's no
I
ifs, ands, or
agree.
buts.
I agree
No ifs, ands, or buts.
100%. You absolutely have to win a championship. You got better. They're certainly more well-rounded than they were last year, which is great to see because that's what they were missing last year. They didn't have a lot of great guys coming off the bench. This year, you
Now.
have that. You have the height you need. You were lacking height a little bit last year. You have that. You have Drew Holiday. You have a number of guys that can contribute at a moment's notice. So there is no more excuses. And if they don't win it this year, does that mean bye-bye for Tatum? Quite possibly. It would be a huge disappointment, especially if Tatum struggles in the playoffs or in the championship like he did last season. So you certainly hope that you don't see that. But you're right. Tatum has to be the leader. I'll tell you the one thing that I worry about with this team is the fact that they play down a lot. When they're up big, they play down and they let their opponent get back into the game, and they do it too often. Don't do that in the playoffs. Do what UConn did in the March Madness run. Keep your foot on the gas and never let off, because if you let teams back into games, that's how you lose a series.
There's a lot of people have been saying this too. Is Joe Mazzulla something to be worried about?
Yes. I'll tell you why. I don't like the way he coaches sometimes. I think he's a good coach with the potential, obviously, with this roster to be a great coach and win some championships. But I think he's a little too laid back sometimes. And he also doesn't game plan very much. And he has stated that he doesn't game plan very much. You don't see him drawing up a play on the sidelines like you would see someone like Doc Rivers doing. Doc Rivers is kind of the more, on top of everybody kind of guy. He's I guess more strict, I could say. Mazzulla, he might be a little too laid back, and there's a lot of ego in that Celtics locker room. So I think being too laid back could have negative consequences. But it's a wait and see thing. It certainly is.
It is. So let's see how, listen, this team should not go any more than 6 or 7 games in the first round, regardless of who they play. You've got to take care of business right away. Who do you think is the team in the East? I'm talking in the East right now. I said Denver. If it's Denver in the West, who's the team in the East that is the biggest threat to the Celtics that you think?
Well, I think the Knicks have come on strong lately. I like Brunson, but I got to go Bucks. I mean, Giannis. He's a guy that could go out there and beat any team. And the Bucks, they gave the Celtics a hard time during the season. Celtics had a couple nice wins against them, but the Bucks had a couple dominant wins.
as well. So they're a team that I think would go neck and neck with the Celtics.
I agree, but I just feel like the Celtics know how to beat Giannis. They know how to wear him down. And Giannis has said
Sometimes
this,
they do.
that Giannis did say this, that losing Drew Holiday for them was massive. That he was one of the biggest parts of their championship run. Am I crazy to say that I still think it's the Miami? Like, now I know we beat them 4 times this year, but and the Celtics are the better team, but something just tells me it's Miami.
Well, after last year, I mean, how can I argue with that? They beat you. So I really can't. Until you prove in the playoffs that you could beat them, they certainly always have to be a concern. But Andy, you're not going to believe this. We're actually out of time. That show just flew by. Yeah. It
Wow.
flew by, huh? Unbelievable. See
Sure.
when it's just me and you, we'll just go off and talk about whatever we want. And,
I know.
but that was a fun one. Talked a little marathon, a little golf, a little NBA. Sorry, Bruins, we didn't get to you. We'll get to you next time. And what a shame. We didn't get to any Red Sox talk. What a shame.
You're going Thursday. You're going to game Thursday, right?
I am, yes. I'll be there Thursday afternoon.
Were they playing Cleveland?
Cleveland Indians, yep. Oh, what an embarrassment the Red Sox were on Marathon Monday.
Horrible.
That's a game you almost have to win, or at least have a close ball game.
The Guardians
They couldn't even score a run.
Guardians are just a better team. They're just. Can you imagine this too? If the Guardians were to win the World Series this year after Terry Francona retired, I mean that would just be.
It's possible.
But he built that team. He built that team.
And it was a shame too because Cutter Crawford pitched a good game.
He did.
He pitched scoreless 6 2/3.
They have no offense. They can't score any runs. They are who they thought they were. Nothing surprises me with the Red Sox. They're just boring. They're just no excitement whatsoever. And
there's a couple starters that I'm liking. I'm liking Crawford and I'm liking Bayo. They're looking pretty good.
Houck's been okay too, but nothing that's going to get me excited to have fun.
No, they're not going to do anything this year. I don't even think they'll make the playoffs. But
no.
All right. Any last words, Andy?
Just real quick, I know you mentioned the Bruins, but they're on the playoff cusp, and I told you this before we came on. I don't like if they're playing Tampa Bay in the first round. Not a good matchup. The Lightning are not afraid of the Bruins. They have trouble down in Tampa. Very similar when they played Florida last year. Bruins don't play well down in Florida for some reason. I think they're the better team, but the Lightning are not going to make it easy. They have a lot of experience.
Yep, they are. The Lightning's always a threat. I guess I'll use my last word on the Bruins too. I don't have a lot of faith in them after what happened last season. They were the best of the best, and this year they don't have as much talent. They got the 1 seed, which is impressive, but they were the 1 seed last year, and they lost in the first round. So I guess we'll wait and see, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith after what happened last season. I feel like the Bruins are quickly becoming a great regular season team and not a good playoff team, which is a bad trend. So hopefully they'll prove me wrong. And also, of course, don't forget Hiller Sports coming up. It's going to get really busy after the school vacation week. So be sure to stay tuned to our website, hcam.tv, to see where we will be. But we are out of time. That is going to wrap it up. Andy, thank you very much. Great show as always, my friend. And to everyone watching, thank you for watching. Take care. Be well. We'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye, everybody.